There's a silent migration happening right now that Wall Street doesn't want you to know about. While Americans are drowning in debt, struggling with $8 grocery bills for a gallon of milk, and watching their savings evaporate, thousands are boarding planes to Kuala Lumpur with one-way tickets, and what they're finding when they land is rewriting everything they thought they knew about success, freedom, and the American dream. What I'm about to show you will make you question every financial decision you've ever made. But before we dive into this rabbit hole, I need you to do something. If you're tired of being fed the same narrative while your quality of life crumbles, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. What you're about to discover isn't just another travel video. This is about survival strategies the media won't discuss. And honestly, a like on this video helps us reach more people who desperately need to hear this truth. Now, let me show you what's really happening on the ground in Malaysia. Section 1. The Financial Awakening. Picture this. Sarah, a 58-year-old teacher from Portland, spent 30 years believing she'd worked hard enough to retire with dignity. Her pension was slashed during the 2008 crisis, her 401k never recovered the way the experts promised, and by 2023, she was facing the reality that her $2,800 monthly retirement income wouldn't even cover a studio apartment in Oregon. Then she discovered something that the financial advisors never mentioned in all those planning sessions. In Penang, Malaysia, that same $2,800 doesn't just cover rent. It funds an entire lifestyle that includes a modern 2-bedroom apartment in a high-rise with a pool, daily meals at restaurants, regular healthcare checkups, and monthly trips around Southeast Asia. According to International Living's 2024 Global Retirement Index, Malaysia ranks in the top 10 retirement destinations, specifically because a couple can live comfortably on $2,500 per month, a figure that sounds like fantasy to Americans watching their dollars evaporate. But here's where it gets disturbing. Sarah isn't an exception. She's part of a growing wave documented by the U.S. State Department's 2023 data showing American citizen registrations in Malaysia climbing steadily, with Facebook groups like Americans in Malaysia swelling past 15,000 members sharing stories of financial resurrection. The psychological impact of this discovery cannot be overstated. When Americans arrive and pay 15 ringgit, about 3.20s, for a full meal of char kway teow with fresh prawns at a hawker center, something fractures in their understanding of economic reality. They've spent decades accepting that a basic lunch costs $15.20 minimum, that eating out is a luxury, that you choose between retirement savings and living your life today. Numbeo's 2024 cost comparison data reveals that groceries in Malaysia cost approximately 50–60% less than in the United States. Restaurant meals are 70% cheaper, and transportation costs are roughly 65% lower. But statistics don't capture the moment when you realize you've been running on a hamster wheel that was rigged from the start. A retired couple from Michigan told researchers for the Journal of International Migration and Integration that they felt conned when they discovered their fixed income, which made them feel poor in Grand Rapids, suddenly classified them as upper middle class in Kuala Lumpur. The American financial system has conditioned citizens to accept scarcity as inevitable, while geographic arbitrage proves it was artificial all along. Section 2. The Healthcare Revelation. Now let's talk about what really breaks people's understanding of their own country: healthcare. James, a 62-year-old from Texas, had been rationing his blood pressure medication because, even with Medicare, his monthly prescriptions cost $340. His wife needed a knee replacement, but they'd been putting it off for 3 years because the $7,000 deductible plus 20% coinsurance meant they'd have to drain their emergency fund. 3 months after moving to Kuala Lumpur, James visited Prince Court Medical Center, a JCI-accredited hospital that treats members of Malaysia's royal family and international executives. His complete checkup, including blood work, ECG, and consultation with a cardiologist who trained at Mount Sinai in New York, cost $180 total. His monthly medications, $45 for everything. His wife's knee replacement, performed by an orthopedic surgeon with credentials from the Royal College of Surgeons, cost $8,500 all-inclusive. Surgery, 3 nights in a private room, physiotherapy, and follow-up appointments. The Medical Tourism Association's 2023 data shows Malaysia performed over 1.3 million medical procedures for international patients, with Americans representing a fast-growing segment seeking everything from cardiac surgery to cancer treatment at 60–80% cost savings compared to U.S. prices. But the real shock isn't just the price, it's watching the myth of American healthcare superiority crumble in real time. Americans have been conditioned to believe that low-cost healthcare must mean inferior quality, that only the U.S. system delivers cutting-edge care, that medical tourism is for desperate people seeking risky procedures. Then they sit in a Malaysian private hospital waiting room and watch English, Arabic, and Mandarin-speaking doctors reviewing cases on the same electronic medical record systems used at Johns Hopkins, using equipment from the same manufacturers, Siemens, GE, Philips, and following clinical protocols published in the same New England Journal of Medicine they reference back home. A 2023 study in the International Journal of Healthcare Management found that patient satisfaction scores at top Malaysian private hospitals actually exceeded U.S. averages, particularly in doctor communication time and perceived value. Americans describe an almost existential crisis when their Malaysian doctor spends 40 minutes explaining treatment options without once mentioning insurance approval or checking a billing code. The realization hits like cold water. The American healthcare system didn't fail to deliver affordable care. It was designed from the ground up to extract maximum revenue. And citizens have been gaslit into believing the cruelty was necessity. Section 3. The Infrastructure Paradox. Here's where the cognitive dissonance becomes almost unbearable for Americans. Malaysia's infrastructure makes the United States look like it's in managed decline. Take the train from KL Central to KLIA Airport on the KLIA Express. You're gliding at 160 km/h in Japanese-engineered comfort, with power outlets at every seat, spotless interiors, and Wi-Fi that actually works, arriving in exactly 28 minutes for about $12. The trains run every 15 minutes like clockwork. Now compare that to the nightmare of getting to JFK, LAX, or O'Hare, where Americans accept decaying infrastructure, unpredictable delays, and hostile customer service as normal. The American Society of Civil Engineers gave U.S. infrastructure a C grade in their 2021 report card, estimating the country needs $2.59 trillion in investment just to bring systems up to acceptable standards. Meanwhile, Malaysia opened the MRT Putrajaya line in 2023, 36 stations of driverless, fully automated transit with platform screen doors, real-time tracking apps, and accessibility features, in a country with a GDP roughly equal to that of Michigan alone. The highway comparison is even more jarring. The North-South Expressway stretches 772 kilometers of smooth, well-maintained asphalt with rest areas every 50–80 kilometers featuring clean bathrooms, food courts, and even prayer rooms, all built through public-private partnerships without the cost overruns and decade-long delays that plague American infrastructure projects. According to TRIP, a transportation research nonprofit, 43% of U.S. urban interstate highways were in poor or mediocre condition as of 2024, costing American drivers an average of $540 annually in vehicle repairs from pothole damage. Americans landing in Malaysia described the surreal experience of driving on highways that looked like what the United States promised in the 1960s, but never maintained. Then there's the internet. Time.com offers 500 Mbps fiber for roughly $35 monthly in Kuala Lumpur, while Ookla's Speed Test Global Index for 2024 ranks Malaysia 27th worldwide for broadband speed. The United States ranks 12th, yet Americans routinely pay $120 for comparable speeds from monopolistic ISPs. The question that haunts new arrivals isn't why Malaysia built this infrastructure. It's why the world's wealthiest nation allowed its own to rot while telling citizens there was no money to fix it. Section 4. the social cohesion mystery. Now we arrive at perhaps the most disturbing discovery Americans make in Malaysia, one that challenges everything the culture war has taught them about diversity and social cohesion. Malaysia is 61% Muslim, 20% Buddhist, 9% Christian, 6% Hindu, with significant indigenous populations speaking Malay, Mandarin, Tamil, and dozens of other languages. By every metric the American political discourse uses, this country should be a powder keg of sectarian violence and ethnic conflict. Yet when Americans walk through Kuala Lumpur's streets, they witness Malay Muslim women in hijabs, Chinese Buddhist grandmothers, Indian Hindu families, and Iban Christians from Sarawak shopping at the same markets, working in the same offices, and sharing meals at the same mamak stalls without the performative tension that characterizes American diversity. The Pew Research Center's 2023 Religious Diversity Index places Malaysia among the world's most religiously diverse nations, yet the country experiences remarkably low rates of hate crimes or sectarian violence compared to increasingly fractured Western societies. Americans, especially those fleeing blue cities torn by progressive infighting or red states consumed by culture war fury, describe a profound sense of relief watching people simply coexist without making identity their entire personality. The mechanism behind this cohesion offers uncomfortable lessons for America. Malaysia's approach isn't colorblind liberalism or forced assimilation. It's a pragmatic acceptance that different communities will maintain distinct identities, religions, and languages while sharing economic space and civic infrastructure. The government's Bumi Putera affirmative action policies remain controversial and criticized by many Malaysians. But the system has prevented the zero-sum ethnic competition that tears other nations apart. According to the Institute for Democracy and Economic Affairs, a Malaysian think tank, 68% of citizens in 2024 reported having close friends from different ethnic backgrounds, a figure that surpasses increasingly segregated American social networks documented by the Public Religion Research Institute. What Americans find in Malaysia isn't a utopia without problems. Locals will readily complain about corruption, political restrictions, and ethnic tensions that absolutely exist, but rather proof that functional pluralism remains possible even in diverse societies. For Americans who've watched neighbors become enemies over politics, who've seen families fracture over vaccine status or election results, who've experienced the exhaustion of culture war, combat making every interaction a potential conflict, Malaysia offers something they were told no longer existed: the possibility of simply letting people be different without making it a crisis. The speechlessness comes from recognizing that the social fragmentation destroying American communities isn't the inevitable result of diversity. It's the deliberate product of systems that profit from division. So, what does it mean when American citizens find better infrastructure, healthcare, and quality of life in a nation they'd been taught to consider developing? It means the narrative you've been sold about American exceptionalism was marketing, not reality. It means the financial stress, medical bankruptcies, crumbling infrastructure, and social warfare you've normalized aren't inevitable features of modern life. They're specific policy choices that serve concentrated wealth while the majority suffers. The Americans arriving in Malaysia aren't just speechless, they're angry. Because they've discovered their entire lives could have been different if the system had been designed to serve people instead of extract from them. If this video made you rethink everything you've been told about success, prosperity, and the American dream, subscribe to this channel because we're just getting started exposing the global trends the establishment doesn't want you understanding. Drop a comment right now. Would you consider making this move? Or do you think there are hidden costs we haven't discussed? I want to hear from both sides. And don't click away. Our next video reveals what happens when Americans try to return to the United States after living abroad, and trust me, the reverse culture shock is even more devastating than what we just covered. Watch that next.